Today we today we are here with two young boys, Josh and Joey, who ran away from home during the Great Depression. With them, we have people who made their journey possible. Hi Josh, how are you?
I'm good.
So, what was the main thing that made you leave home?
Well, my father lost his job, so our family was really struggling, and all I did was argue with him. My mom told me I could leave, and it might be better for me for a while.
How did you do how did you feel when your mother said it would be okay if you left?
Well, I was upset because I thought she didn't want me to leave, but I'm close with my mom, and if she thought it was best for me, then it was the best thing for me.
I heard you saying before that you saw your best friend die. Could you tell us about this?
Well, we were jumping onto a freight train, and Howie, my best friend, got hit by another one while tossing me his banjo. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
How did you and your brother survive without Howie?
Well, our original plan was I would play the piano, Howie could play the banjo, and Joey would sing. We ended up getting a job at a carnival in a restaurant and barely making ends meet.
Interesting. How was working at the carnival?
It gave me enough money for me and Joey to eat.
Where did you go after the carnival?
Well, the carnival caught on fire, so me and Joey left to find Lonnie in Omaha, Nebraska.
What happened when you got there?
Well, Joey and I were both sick, so Lonnie made sure we got healthy, and we found us a job at a restaurant where I could play the piano and Joey could sing.
Well, we're running out of time, but I have one last question. What made you go home and forgive your father?
My friend Emily told me to go home, and I trust what she says, so I thought it might be best for me and my brother.
Thank you for the time. Now let's talk to you, Joey. Hi, Joey.
Hi.
How old were you when you left home?
I was 10.
Weren't you nervous to leave home at such a young age?
No, because I left with my brother, and I knew he would make it possible for us to survive on our own.
At any point in your journey, were you scared that you and Josh would end up with no money and shelter?
Well, we got mugged by a group of thugs. For a while after that, I was really nervous because I didn't want to run into people like that again. We didn't have a lot, and we couldn't lose the little bit that we did have.
How did you find food?
I begged on the streets for a while. It was easy for people because I was so cute.
So, I heard you and Josh were separated. What happened?
I earned a loaf of bread from a stranger. I decided to give the bread to the woman and the children that fed us the night before. When I told Josh he was very sick and he overreacted, he slapped me, so I left.
Where did you go on?
I tried to hitchhike home to Chicago, but I got sick and had to be taken by the authors.
Okay. What did you do after that?
Well, the authors took me in and nursed me back to health. There, Lonnie found me. I didn't know his last name, so I couldn't call him, but he still found me.
How are you feeling at this point?
To be honest, I was beyond scared. I was also relieved to be back with Josh. I am glad he made the decision to come back home and forgive my father.
Why do you think Josh forgave your father?
Well, Josh finally realized that he was more like my dad than he thought. He decided that it was time to go home when he got the letter from Emily, too.
It seemed like you guys had a lot of good times and a lot of bad times. After he left home, what do you say about that?
Well, I would definitely say that my biggest regret was leaving Josh after he slapped me. I had a fun time at the carnival and with meeting new people, but I also had some bad times where
Hello, Janie. I'm glad you could come today. Come join us here today. It is to my understanding that Lonnie had taken you in when your parents passed away. How did that make you feel? And how did Lonnie treat you?
Yes, Lonnie had taken me in when my parents passed. At first it was extremely difficult and my heart constantly ached. The pain is excruciating. Every day was a constant battle to stay happy and make a living for myself. But Lonnie helped me immensely and really helped me get myself together.
How exactly did you make a living for yourself? Did you find work?
Luckily, I had only spent a week on the street before Lonnie found me. I did not work, though, because the depression times were so tough.
So, when Josh and Joey came along, how did you feel about them being in your house?
Having my personality, having them around was a joy. I usually spend most of my time at school and at home doing schoolwork. I enjoy taking care of others, and the boys were very kind to me.
Now that Josh has left, how do you feel?
Josh will always be in my heart. He was such a great friend to me, and I hope he will soon be able to get in touch with him. I wish him the very best.
Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Emily. I'm glad you came today.
Thank you for letting me come.
So, to start off our questions, we were all wondering, what first brought you to meet the boys?
Well, Lonnie brought the boys to the carnival to meet Pete Harris. When he introduced me to Pete, I was with him. The boys were super sweet, and they instantly found a place in my heart.
Aw, that's so touching. When you talked to the boys, they told us all about how you loved them. They missed you very much when we asked them about you. What brought you to the carnival in the first place?
Well, I don't know exactly what brought me to the carnival, but I'm glad I went. These people made my life so much better. Without the carnival, I wouldn't have a good paying job that gets me both food and shelter.
So, what is your job at the carnival exactly?
Well, I'm a personal entertainer, or you might as well call it a clown. My main job is to make people smile and make sure they have a great time.
How would you explain your relationship with Josh?
Well, my relationship with Josh he was a son to me. I cared about him deeply, but he had different feelings that were more intimate. I didn't really think about Josh that way. He was heartbroken when I told him I didn't want to have that sort of relationship. Shortly after, the whole thing with the fire happened, and Josh was fired.
What exactly happened with the fire?
The carnival set on fire. Nobody really knows what happened, but it set on fire, and we were already short on money, so there were no jobs, so Josh and Joey got sent home.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
Well, I'm so glad you could come today. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Hi, Lonnie. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you.
The pleasure is all mine.
So, Lonnie, how did you find Josh and Joey?
Well, I was driving my truck down to New Orleans when I came across them on the road.
Why did you decide to take them in?
Well, Josh reminded me of my son that had died.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did he die?
Well, he complained that he had a stomach ache, so I gave him a big dose of castor oil. Turned out he had appendicitis.
Do you mean appendicitis?
Yes, appendicitis.
Oh, that's terrible. So he ended up dying? When Josh was found on the side of the road and he was brought to you, what were you thinking?
I was like, I read books.
Well, I miss Josh deeply since he went to the carnival.
Well,
So I brought him right in.
I miss Josh deeply since
He went to the carnival.
he went to the carnival, so I brought him in.
Well, it seems that your niece Jamie loved him very much.
She did, yeah, very much.
Were you scared that you couldn't find Joey?
I was at first, but I knew we were gonna find him.
That's a positive attitude.
It is. Always been a positive guy.
Well, it's a few years after the Great Depression. How are you doing now?
Perfect. I have 4 mansions in Cleveland, St. Louis, San Diego, and New York.
Well, thanks for being here today, Lonnie. It means a lot.
No problem.